A developed country. I've talked about this before, how to define these things. So look up just the word development. Look, I'm wearing these where, it's easier when you're doing stuff with a phone. Just look up the word development. Don't go on sites that promote capitalism, for example, for definitions. So, I have to leave the campground soon, and I still haven't solved the issue of why it's not charging. And it could be the regulator, and I found out the regulator will only arrive at the person in Quesnel who will then ship it to me, maybe on November 14th, maybe. So I'm looking at many weeks here still. I'm very grateful I have Wi-Fi so I can learn more about things and get heat. But what's weird is one of my heaters, the one that's been very old and given to me, but that was more reliable, it was starting to fail, so I opened it up and I gave it a good cleaning yesterday. But the one that is newer and cleaner, the Canadian Tire one, is even if I dig up the receipt, which I knew I put somewhere specific, so it might not take me more than 20 minutes to find it, is I can't even go to a place that is a Canadian Tire, which would be at least an hour's drive or an hour and a half if I go in another direction, to actually get the warranty on it. And I think it's expiring in November, the 1 year. I mean, I could document that I've been to a Canadian Tire before and I didn't have the receipt last time, or how much it's been failing. But they won't care, right? People have to go, no, this is the circle, it goes in a round hole, this is the square, it goes in a square peg, all that nonsense. Is people don't care about freezing to death. That means they have to suddenly reference the outside world. That's why there's so few people getting off their bums, and that includes people that don't play video games, that desensitize them, who may or may not be watching the news enough to know how many innocent people are dying in Gaza, for example, for a month. And because if they don't get off their bum, I'm sorry, but something is a little bit more wrong with you, maybe, than the people that are dying. So, is Canada a developed nation? Well, we are a nation of people primates. We are social creatures. And when it comes to social terms, we are extremely underdeveloped. And again, I'm not saying Canada is the worst in the world or the best in the world. It's about average, but on the way down, maybe worse than others that are also on the way down. So I can't even return something for a warranty not to freeze because I'm having issues of things that mechanics worked on. And I just sent an email today to an old mechanic that worked on this engine starter for the first time, CC'd to BCA, including their customer relations email that I was told by a manager, you got to send it to them, and that bounced, like it doesn't exist, that email or something. And I didn't include W5 or Marketplace or MLAs or MPs because, again, they don't answer emails. What's the use? So yeah, we are definitely an underdeveloped people primate. I wouldn't say human, I'd say Homo communia, the common people primate of this epoch. And the villains, because the epoch is the Anthropocene. It's weird, geologists will say they believe in the Anthropocene, especially if some of their friends are, Earth system science experts more than them, who may only be geologists. But at the same time, they're talking about the current period as being something else. So, make up your mind. And again, it all comes down to what I've been working on for years, which makes it I got no relatives that talk to me, no old friends that stay in touch. Nobody wants to connect with me. Now, that's not the only thing I want to talk about. I actually would just like to have 1 or 2 support groups a week where we talk about reality of the human condition. The rest of the time, I want to work on solutions. But they're blocked. They're not just blocked because we're an underdeveloped nation where I can't get to where I'm going, where I try to respect people who don't respect me as much. It is also because people don't want to do the work. Something I was thinking about, I'm not going to mention this yet, but I'm going to wait for my prediction happening where people give me justification to mention this specific argument that relates to me being a culture repair. Now, as a culture repair, I can either have good bedside manner when people show up and want to participate in culture repair as the doctor of Humanix, or I can sometimes This allows me to vent a little bit because there's no counselors available to talk to about reality. And I don't need a diagnosis for that. I need to just say, oh, this is what my life is like. Do you have counseling 101 skills that you can listen to me? And if I don't do my healing their way, which is trying to domesticate me, the guy who created the theory about how our species has devolved itself through a variety of human domestication syndromes, then I won't get somebody who may or may not be paid a lot of money to supposedly be good at basic counseling. So yeah, are we a developed nation? No, we're not. How am I not going nuts? Well, I'm not going nuts because I push back HSD every day and say that's not me. I'm an Homo sapien. I worked hard. Started in my 30s, that work. I knew when I was young that something was wrong with the adults. And I'm talking about young, very young, like kindergarten or before. Something's wrong with the adults. Something's wrong with other kids my age. And I just kind of didn't know how to formulate these things. And now that I do, I realized through this theory that also can project in the future, not just explain the now, but explains the past in a more accurate way, in ways that, religious people would be upset about, or even scientists who want to believe we are in this category that's not animal, that's divine or supernatural or so great that we just use the word human. Well, define what humans would act like, and now explain how collectively as a species we act less like that than other species. And again, what's the use talking to scientists or humanists or anything at this point? The more they're famous at whatever level of paradigm they're at, the less they want to increase their paradigms. So that's an example of the risk of fame.